The fifth slap burned my cheek and the music stopped. Balloons hung in the air like they were holding their breath. My father, Mr. Thomas, pointed at me in front of all the guests and said, "You are a disgrace." I tasted salt and fear. Then the next morning, when my face was still sore and my heart felt broken, a man in a black suit knocked on my door. He said, "My name is Mr. Collins. I am a lawyer. Your real father has been looking for you for 42 years. He opened a brown folder. Inside was a photo of a newborn with a tiny birthmark shaped like a teardrop on her shoulder. The same mark one have. My hands shook. Mr. Collins said, "Your name is not Grace Thomas. Your name is Grace Whitmore." Before I could speak, he turned one more page and I saw something that made my knees give way. Let me tell you how we got to that moment. I am a grandmother now. My hair is silver like moonlight and my hands are soft from years of cooking and holding babies. But yesterday, I felt like a small girl again. All day I tried to make peace with my father. It was his birthday. I baked him an apple cake the way he liked it, with extra cinnamon. I wore a plain blue dress and small pearl earrings. I told myself to smile and keep quiet. I told myself that love can fix old cracks if we move gently. When I reached the hall, the place looked grand. Golden lights, long tables, a banner that said "Happy Birthday, Mr. Thomas." People laughed and clapped. My stepmother, Helen, brushed past me and whispered, "Do not make trouble." Her perfume was sharp, like it could cut the air. I walked to my father with the cake. "Happy birthday," I said. He did not look at me. He looked at the cake and then at the guests and then at the small stain on my dress that only I could see. He said, "You always bring shame." His voice was cold. I tried to speak kindly. "Father, I came in peace. I want you to be proud of me today. I want us to heal." I set the cake down. My hands shook a little but I held them still. People started singing, but one man near the band said something rude about me. Another woman giggled. It felt like a bee buzzing around my ear that would not stop. My father took their laughter like it was proof. He raised his hand and slapped me once. The room gasped. I tasted blood and surprise. He slapped me again. 3, 4, 5. I stood there and did not cry. I learned long ago that my tears made him feel stronger. Then I said something small and brave. "Father, I am not a mistake. I was born with a purpose. I do not know why you hate me, but I will not hate myself." The guests went silent. My stepmother grabbed his arm, but he pulled away and shouted, "You are not mine. You never were." The words fell like stones into my chest. I ran out into the night. The stars looked like tiny eyes watching me. I walked home with my cheek hot and my heart cold. I prayed. I asked God to show me truth. I fell asleep with the taste of salt on my lips. Morning came soft and pale. I made tea. The knock came. 3 slow knocks. I opened the door to the man in the black suit. He said the words that turned my world around. "Your real father has been searching for you for 42 years. He opened the folder. I saw the tiny teardrop birthmark. I saw a hospital tag with a different last name. I saw a bracelet with a small silver heart that looked exactly like the one I keep inside my old memory box. And then he showed me one last picture. It was taken at my father's party last night. It showed a face I knew, standing behind my father, holding something I never wanted to see again. My breath caught in my throat as the door behind us began to open. When the door creaked open, my heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. My stepmother stood there, her eyes wide when she saw the lawyer. For a second, it looked like she forgot how to breathe. Then she forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mr. Collins looked at her calmly. "Mrs. Thomas," he said, "or should I say Mrs. Helen Whitmore, you might want to sit down. This concerns you too." She froze. "Whitmore," I repeated, confused. That was the name he said was my real father's name. Helen stammered, I don't know what you're talking about." The lawyer didn't argue. He simply pulled out another photo, an old hospital record showing a woman who looked just like her, younger and wearing a nurse's uniform. My breath caught. 42 years ago, Mr. Collins continued, a baby girl named Grace Whitmore was kidnapped from St. Mary's Hospital. The child had a rare birthmark in the shape of a teardrop. That same child grew up under the name Grace Thomas. I looked at Helen. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Stop this, please." I stepped closer. "You knew." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. You were crying so hard that night, I just wanted a child." I felt dizzy. My knees went weak. My father, or the man I thought was my father, had always said I was a burden. He had beaten me, insulted me, and told everyone I was worthless. And now I was hearing that I didn't even belong to him. The lawyer continued, "Your biological father, Mr. Richard Whitmore, was a wealthy businessman at the time. He and his wife searched for years. They offered rewards, contacted the police, even hired private investigators. But the trail went cold, until last week, when a DNA test from a routine medical file matched Grace Thomas to the Whitmore family line." I covered my mouth. I remembered that blood test from the clinic last month. It was supposed to be just a health check. That's how they found me. Helen sobbed quietly. "Your father, Thomas, was in debt. He took money to help cover things up. I begged him to stop, but he said it was too late. When I saw you, I couldn't let go. You were so small, so beautiful." I stared at her, my voice trembling. "You stole me, and you let him treat me like garbage all these years." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "I loved you," she cried. "In my own way, I did." The lawyer spoke again. "Mr. Whitmore would like to meet you. He's been living abroad, but he never stopped looking. He thought you were dead." I sat down slowly. My heart hurt in ways I couldn't explain. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to run. Another part wanted to believe that somewhere, a real father had been praying for me every night. But before I could ask another question, a loud bang echoed outside. We all turned toward the window. A black car had stopped at the gate, and two men stepped out wearing suits darker than midnight. Helen gasped. "No, they found us." The lawyer frowned. "Who are they?" She whispered, "Your father will do anything to stop this from coming out." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, one of the men pounded on the door. "Open up," he shouted. "We need to speak with Miss Grace, now." The lawyer's face turned pale. He whispered to me, "Don't move." The knocking grew louder. My heart raced as Helen ran to the back door, her voice shaking. "Grace, they'll take you away if you stay here. Run." I froze, staring between the lawyer, Helen, and the door that was about to burst open. My whole life had already changed once. Now, it was about to change again, and this time, I wasn't sure I would survive it. The door handle twisted, and the sound of boots filled the porch. Then came a voice I hadn't heard in years, the voice of the man who had called me a disgrace. "Grace," my father said coldly from outside. "Come out. We need to talk." The sound of his voice froze every part of me. My chest tightened, and the room felt smaller. The man who had slapped me 5 times the night before was now at my door again, pretending to want a calm talk. But the chill in his voice told another story. Helen's lips trembled. "Thomas, please, don't do this," she whispered, her hands shaking as she locked the door. The lawyer, Mr. Collins, moved closer to me. "Grace, stay behind me. Let me handle this." My so-called father's voice grew louder. "You think you can hide behind that lawyer? You belong to me, Grace." The words hit me like ice. Belong to him. My hands curled into fists. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of him, I was angry. "Mr. Collins turned to me, his face calm but serious. "He's trying to intimidate you. He knows the truth will destroy him." The pounding on the door continued. Then there was silence. A deep, dangerous silence that made my heart beat faster. Helen whispered, "He never wanted this to come out. If the truth spreads, he'll lose everything, his company, his reputation, his life of lies." I looked at her. "So he's been living rich and respected all this time, while I lived like a mistake." She couldn't meet my eyes. Suddenly, glass shattered from the side window. We screamed. My father's face appeared through the broken pane. His eyes were wild. "Grace," he shouted, "open the door now before you what?" The lawyer interrupted, stepping forward. "Before you face the police for kidnapping and child abuse." That made him pause. His expression changed from fury to fear, then to desperation. Helen whispered, "He's losing control. We have to go." Mr. Collins nodded and guided me toward the back door. My legs shook as we crept through the kitchen. The air smelled like burnt toast and fear. But before we reached the exit, my father's voice thundered again. "Grace, don't believe them. They're lying to you. I'm your real father." I stopped. For a moment, I wanted to believe him. For years, I had begged for his love. Even a cruel love felt like something real. But then I remembered the photo in the lawyer's folder, the teardrop birthmark, the hospital bracelet, the crying woman who looked like me. "No," I whispered. "You're not my father. You never were." We burst out the back door and ran into the small garden. The morning sun was bright, almost too bright. A car was waiting by the road. Mr. Collins opened the door quickly. "Get in," he said. Helen followed us, her face wet with tears. But before she could climb in, another loud sound echoed, a gunshot. I screamed as Helen dropped to her knees, clutching her side. Blood spread across her dress like dark ink. Mr. Collins shouted for help, dragging her behind the car. My father stood by the gate, holding the gun, his hand trembling. His eyes looked broken. "You weren't supposed to know," he said, almost crying. "You were my second chance. She was going to leave me. You stole me." I yelled, tears burning my face. "You ruined everything." The lawyer shouted, "Drop the weapon, Thomas. It's over." But he didn't. He looked at Helen bleeding on the ground, then at me. For a moment, I thought he might shoot again. Then, sirens filled the distance. Police cars. Someone must have called them. My father turned toward the sound, confused and afraid. Helen coughed, blood on her lips. "Grace, run. Don't let them take you away again." I hesitated, crying. "I can't leave you like this." She grabbed my hand weakly. "You have a real father waiting for you. Go find him, and forgive me if you can." Her hand fell limp. Mr. Collins pushed me toward the car. "Grace, we have to leave now." I climbed in, sobbing as the car sped away. In the mirror, I saw my father drop the gun and fall to his knees beside Helen's body as police surrounded him. The city blurred past my window. My whole life, everything I believed, was gone. Mr. Collins placed a hand on my shoulder. "You're safe now," he said softly. "We're going to meet your real father." But I couldn't stop shaking. Safe? No, nothing felt safe anymore. Not after what I'd just seen. Then he added, "There's one more thing you should know, Grace. Before he died, your real mother left a letter for you. Your father has been keeping it for 42 years. I turned to him, my voice trembling. "A letter?" He nodded. "It explains everything. And it's waiting for you." The car turned off the main road, heading toward a mansion on a hill. My heart raced as we approached the gates. But just as we stopped, the front doors of the mansion opened. And a man who looked exactly like me stepped out. For a moment, I could not breathe. The man standing at the top of the steps looked like a mirror of the person I might have been if my life had gone differently. His hair was silver at the sides, but his eyes, those deep hazel eyes, were the same as mine. I felt something move in my chest, something like recognition, something that words could not hold. Mr. Collins stopped the car. "Grace," he said softly, "that's your father, Mr. Richard Whitmore." My body felt weak, like my bones had forgotten how to carry me. The man slowly walked down the steps, his gaze locked on me. Every step he took seemed heavy with years of searching and pain. When he reached me, he didn't say a word. He just opened his arms. And I broke. I fell into his arms and cried harder than I ever had in my life. All the pain, all the shame, all the loneliness poured out of me like water bursting from a dam. He held me tight and whispered through tears, "I never stopped looking for you, my child. Not for a single day." His voice was gentle, full of warmth that I had never known from the man who raised me. It was the kind of voice that heals wounds without trying. We went inside the mansion. The walls were covered with photos, of a smiling woman with the same eyes as mine, of a little nursery with a pink crib, of missing posters that had turned yellow over the years. "That's your mother," he said, pointing at one of the photos. "Her name was Catherine. She died searching for you. She refused to give up." I touched the frame gently. She really looked for me. He nodded. Even when the police said you were gone. Even when everyone told us to move on. She believed you were alive. And now, you're here. Mr. Collins placed a sealed envelope on the table. This is the letter she left for you. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was her handwriting, soft and careful. My dearest Grace, if you ever find this letter, it means you are safe. You were taken from us, but I believe in my heart that one day you'll come home. Always remember, no matter where life takes you, your worth is not decided by pain, but by love. Never let the cruelty of others change the goodness inside you. You were born to bring light into dark places. Love, Mum. Tears blurred my vision. I clutched the letter to my chest and whispered, I wish I could have known her. My father placed his hand over mine. She's known you all along. In every sunrise, in every prayer. It felt like something inside me finally began to heal. But then, just as we began to sit, Mr. Collins' phone rang. He answered quietly, his face changing with every word. When he hung up, he looked at us with worry. That was the police, he said. Thomas, escaped custody. My father's eyes widened. Escaped. Yes, said the lawyer. They were transferring him to the city when the car was attacked. He's gone. I froze. My stomach tightened. You mean he could come here? Mr. Collins nodded. We have security, but we must be careful. My father stood up. He won't hurt you again. I'll make sure of it. But deep inside, I felt something strange, a quiet storm of anger and fear. That man had destroyed my childhood, stolen my peace, and even caused the death of the woman who raised me. And now, he was free. As night fell, I looked out the mansion window at the long, empty road below. Somewhere in the darkness, I could feel his eyes searching for me again. This time, I wasn't the same frightened girl he used to slap. This time, I was ready. And I knew, before this story ended, I would face him one last time. The next morning came with heavy fog. The guards patrolled the gate, and Mr. Collins stayed on the phone with the police. But something deep inside me told me it wasn't over. I sat in the living room holding my mother's letter. My real father walked in quietly. Couldn't sleep? He asked. I shook my head. No, I keep hearing his voice. The way he shouted my name. He sat beside me. He can't hurt you anymore. But before I could reply, the sound of shattering glass came from the hallway. My heart stopped. A guard screamed, and then there was silence. My father stood up quickly. Stay here. But I couldn't. I followed him down the hall, my hands shaking. The front door was open, and fog poured in like smoke. Then I saw him, Thomas, his shirt torn, his eyes wild, and a gun in his hand. You took everything from me. He shouted. She was my daughter. Mr. Whitmore stepped forward. You stole her life. You destroyed everything. Lies. Thomas screamed. She's mine. She belongs with me. No, I said, stepping out from behind my father. My voice was steady now. I don't belong to anyone. Not you. Not your lies. Thomas turned the gun toward me. You would have nothing without me. I looked at him, calm for the first time. And because of you, I lost everything I ever could have had. But I'm taking my life back today. Mr. Collins crept behind him, trying to grab the weapon, but Thomas saw the movement and fired. The bullet missed, shattering a vase. I screamed. My father tackled him, the two men falling hard to the ground. The gun slid across the marble floor and stopped right in front of me. My hands shook as I picked it up. Thomas looked at me, his voice cracking. Grace, please, I raised you. Don't do this. I looked at him, tears falling fast. You didn't raise me. You broke me. He laughed bitterly. Then prove you're better than me. Don't pull the trigger. And I didn't. I placed the gun down on the table and said softly, you're not worth my anger anymore. The police burst in seconds later, pulling him to the ground. He screamed my name, but I didn't turn back. Days later, after everything was over, I visited Helen's grave. I placed a small bouquet of white lilies beside her name and whispered, I forgive you. And I'm free now. When I looked up at the sky, the sun broke through the clouds. For the first time, the light didn't hurt my eyes, it warmed me. I went back home, to my home, with my real father waiting at the door. He smiled and said, welcome home, Grace. And as I stepped inside, I finally understood what my mother's letter meant. Pain may shape you, but it doesn't define you. Love does. That was the day my story of shame ended. And my story of freedom began. If this story touched your heart, don't just scroll, leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more real-life stories that remind us how truth always finds its way.